Get ready, it's Production Geeks time. Let's dive in.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Production Geeks. I'm Mike Sorrentino, and with me is my trusted colleague, Dave Shaw. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, everybody. Terry, you're a little late on that switch.
Yeah,
Let's speed it up next time. All right?
A little bit.
All right.
So, what is the Production Geeks? Some of you that have tuned in, thank you for tuning in, by the way, are here because you already subscribed to the Sorrentino Media podcast, Media Offline. And we're taking over that feed with a new podcast called The Production Geeks. It's a new concept where we want to kind of show you the work that goes into the work. Media Offline was really about the people and the folks in the media and our colleagues and our clients, and that was a really cool look. But Dave and I are dorks, so
Nerds would, but we're told not to call it nerds because that's too academic, right?
Yeah. So we wanted to kind of just be a little bit more natural and be ourselves, and show you our process. And so this is really about what goes on here and how do we solve problems from a very, very, very technical, hands-on perspective, and also from a higher level perspective of what does a client want and how do we get there. So give me some examples of what you're thinking. I mean, I know that we've got a couple projects in the works for this aerospace project.
Yeah, I mean, it's the challenges. I mean, every project that we get, I mean, you get to run in the mill day-to-day, I don't want to say crap, but day-to-day projects that similar to a podcast like this.
Yeah.
It's almost like a rinse and repeat, but then you get those like random projects that it's like, oh, we need to shoot on a farm and live stream, and you have no cell service, no power, and they need to be able to see it and talk to you and all that. And that's probably for a future podcast. We'll get into kind of some of those challenges, but like those are the fun projects where like you got something different and there's a problem that you got to fix. It's not that day-to-day stuff. And
so many times we'll just be sitting on the couch here in the studio, and just Dave will just kind of start talking through his ideas, and we'll pitch each other ideas for, we should use this type of camera, we should use this type of broadcast, and 90% of our ideas that are thrown around get thrown away, and what that 10% that's left with is what ultimately becomes the project. We recently found a great way to kind of explain our work with live streaming as we don't sell video, we sell certainty. We don't sell live streaming, we sell certainty. And how do we transmit video from a farm with no cell signal, or from an electric airplane that only allows us a certain amount of weight and dimensions to put all of our equipment on? These are things we're going to actually talk about in upcoming episodes as we talk about real projects,
and hopefully actually do it live from some of these locations as we're set up and it's going.
Yeah, I think we want it to be really, like I said earlier, conversational, but we want to show you in this podcast all of the things that could go wrong. So if we make a technical error, something gets, put up late or incorrectly, we want to show it because we're, experts at what we do, but humans as well. And a lot of times the stuff really gets polished before it gets out the door. And I think we just want to be a little bit more raw. So let's start with a couple of things. First is the formatting of this podcast. We're going to start today with Goose Island IPA. And the reason we're starting with Goose Island IPA is because that's what CVS had.
That's what they had. That wasn't a Bud Light or Bud on the Mill.
So I think what we're going to try to do is something, cheers. Every episode, try something new. And if anybody out there is actually listening and you want to send something for us to try.
Or just suggest.
Yeah. Send it along. Dave had these really cool mugs made up. I think you'll find that this encapsulates what we do. We are Production Geeks. We're dorks. When we do calls with potential new clients, I think that's something that really clicks with people when we're like, we're going to nerd out about this, or because
it because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
We don't. Nothing's cookie cutter. It doesn't feel like we're just selling them on a product.
Yeah. And also that a little bit of history is to go back. Dave and I went to college together and problem solved a lot of things there. And throughout the years, Dave was a client. He was a freelancer, and now he's been here for several years.
Yeah, I think more than 3.5 now, maybe.
And it really just, it just clicks with us when it comes to the work. I think you always say, like, I know enough to get in trouble.
Well,
right?
It's true. Like, I mean, and we talk about this a lot too. Like, you don't want me operating that camera. I know how to do it. I know how to set it up. I know how to turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to frame up the shot, but you don't want me operating it. You don't want me lighting the set.
Yeah.
I know enough about what lights need to be there and kind of where they should be, but there's people that specialize in that. We specialize in the workflow side of the things, and we have our tried and true freelancers, crews that come in and they know how to operate everything, and that's really their job.
So when we were trying to figure out what we're going to do for our first episode, we're
still figuring it out.
Yeah, we decided we'd just start right here at home. So a little bit about this space where we're in is our studio on Madison Avenue and 37th Street in Manhattan. We have two spaces. This is our bigger studio, which we call Studio 6. It's because it's on the 6th floor. And we were on the 10th floor of this building for 7 years or so. And the lease went up. And frankly, I was just like, I need a bigger space that could be and affordable. And we came down here. And this room was... How would you describe this room before?
I was going to say something that probably politically incorrect, but keep this on the higher level. It looked like a bomb went off.
Yeah, it really did. So. And we'll edit in some pictures to show. But there was no floor. There was no electricity. The walls were literally falling apart. But we put it together, and with the help of some of the great people in the building, we paid some people on television sets. We had a lot of TVs, and we always have a lot of TVs. And here we are. So we came in here, and the space was sort of piecemealed together. Would you say it was like piecemealed?
It was a little bit at a time. Like, we were trying to figure out exactly how it was going to work and kind of make it look and sound decent. And also, we had clients coming in.
Yeah.
We didn't have unfortunately didn't have that amount of time.
Yeah, we didn't have the luxury of like time and planning.
Really build it out and plan it all out. So we kind of built the plane as we flew, as we were flying it. And I mean, things worked. We definitely learned a lot of lessons and figured out how to do things. And really,
I think that this place, it came together, and it was like piece by piece, because what we do is the variety of work that comes in is so different from day to day that we might have a corporate webinar in here one day, a podcaster the next day, Miss Rachel coming in another day on a green screen. So we have to be versatile, but at the same time, I don't think we didn't know exactly what were a lot of the common threads that were going to pull a lot of our productions together. And so it took us some time. So we luckily had some time over the last year to be thoughtful about what is like version 2.0 of this studio going to look like. And we were able to put in some really great equipment, a routing system. We'll dive in a little deeper into the specifics. A routing system, dedicated studio cameras, comms, IFB, and for those listening, we'll try to explain terminology as we say these things, because we want anybody to be able to listen, but at the same time, it's relatively highly technical. But this space is awesome now. Would you say
everything's working? And I mean, the biggest thing is, the whole thing could be controlled remotely.
Yeah.
Nobody physically has to be in the control room. Nobody physically has to be here. So when we have those kind of lower price clients coming in that don't have the money, we can just have them turn the lights on and we can control everything. So
yeah, I think a good place to start is for me to do a little show and tell and explain what is this space. So I'm gonna use my phone, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a studio tour. This is gonna be talk about raw. This is not gonna be perfect. So what I'm gonna use is an app called LiveU Smart. So there's a system we use called LiveU, LiVEU. And if you look on my phone here, it's essentially a camera app, okay? And what's going to happen is I'm going to select the server that is located in the room next door where our colleague Tara. Hey, say hi, Tara.
Hello, hello.
So Tara's in the control room switching the show. This app does something really cool. And LiveU is one of many companies that does this service, but it's called bonding. It's called cellular bonding or internet bonding. And on the phone, my phone is connected now to our Wi-Fi network, and it's also connected to the 5G cellular network for, in this case, Verizon. And usually when you connect to a website or something, it chooses one or the other. Usually if you're on Wi-Fi, it defaults to Wi-Fi. This will take the two and combine them. And so what it does is it takes that video and splits it up into pieces and sends it across both of those paths. So if you're in a dead zone for cellular, it'll send most of the information over Wi-Fi. In my case, where I have great signal on both, it creates essentially a really super fast internet pipeline and doubles or triples the speed that the phone could get before. So I'm going to now start the transmission, and it's about a 1 second delay. So right now, Tara is pulling up the feed, and it's up. I can see it on the monitor here. So it's a little blurry. It's going to take a minute. It's going to take a minute to go through, but you can see this is what you here. I don't know if I could zoom. Oh yeah, I can zoom in. So here's the screen that I'm looking at for our feed. Here are our cameras. There's Dave.
On what, 4 cameras now?
Yeah. So now these are little teeny tiny Blackmagic cameras that we're using. They're Blackmagic Micro Studio cameras, and they have small lenses on them. Were they micro 4/3?
Yeah, the 4/3.
And then this is a Blackmagic Studio Pro or Plus Studio Pro with a great screen built into it, and another Blackmagic. We really are happy with these cameras. We'll talk about that in a minute, but this is our space. So as you can see, our set, we have our wood slat walls here. And the reason we put those there, obviously for decorative purposes, but also acoustic. Now, hopefully, Tara, you're being able to pull in my audio from the LiveU. Are you pulling in my audio from the phone now?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Nice. Okay. So basically, acoustics is a big issue. So you can see we have these panels on the ceiling, and we also have a lot of 3-inch panels behind this wall, and then we covered it up with black fabric and then put these wood slat on there, and then we have a bunch of 85-inch TVs there, some fake wood walls, which we call stage flats, equipment rack, refrigerator, lots of some slot machines. We'll get to that on a later episode. Coming down the hall, we have Tara in here. Hi, Tara. What's up? Okay. This is Tara. What are we switching on? What's the software?
So we're using vMix.
Yeah.
And it's basically combining everything. Yeah. Video, sound, graphics, all live.
It's pretty rad. I mean, I love this stuff. There's Dave. So in here, we were doing some work. Here's our audio board. Everything comes into the board and then is split up into a bunch of different places. My phone is currently sending the signal up over the internet, and this is putting this, and I mentioned it splits the signal up into pieces and sends it over the different connections. This puts it back together and then sends it out over this feed. It's creating an endless loop. And then we also use a lot of stuff here. We'll talk about this another time. This is Mac. We use something called Zoom ISO, which is sort of similar. So we're going to talk about the audio board a little bit. We're going to talk about, we talked already a little bit about this LiveU. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And then this system is our, we like a lot of Blackmagic stuff, like a lot of production companies. This is called the VideoHub 4040. We'll talk about that in a minute. This essentially is the I wouldn't say the brains, but this is the main switcher, the routing system. Everything comes in and goes out of this little box here. We'll talk about that, and it makes life a lot easier. And yeah, so then it all comes through into vMix here, and we're huge fans of vMix. All right, Tara, see you later. And going back into the studio, we'll pick it up here, and you could take me off LiveU, Tara. See ya.
Nice. You should do a little picture-in-picture there.
Yeah.
Trying to get a little creative.
I know.
Thanks,
right?
Tara.
Thanks, Tara. So that all right. So that's our space, right? Like, the router. Let's start with that. I said everything comes in and goes out of this. Why was it so important for us to get a router? And what did we have set up before?
So originally we just had one of the Blackmagic constellations. Does something similar. Any in can go to any out. Definitely some restrictions with audio because there's certain channels and having to dive into the back with like programming XML.
And why did we have the constellation? A, Mike was cheap. B, what else?
Well, it's not that we're cheap. That's at the time we needed something that we could push any input to any of these screens that we have, and something that if we wanted to switch on and switch a show on, we could. So I mean, that's the biggest difference.
So
Constellation is also really the switcher.
Right. So it does what vMix can do.
What vMix can do, and it does some routing. So it served two purposes.
Yeah.
But as we were talking about earlier, we were talking about kind of what are we going to actually talk about today.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bridge that gap between when you get that full broadcast level studio, they're spending millions of dollars, but kind of be that like niche middle ground place where we're not looking to do broadcast here. That's not what we are. We're not looking to have $300,000 cameras and all this stuff. We're looking to do nice corporate affordable jobs.
Yeah.
Live streams, content. Yeah. Any types of real content, and really for the digital space. Yeah. So putting that routing in basically was something that we wanted to do, but didn't seem necessary.
It's not cheap either.
No.
Right.
But as we started building more and more, and getting different clients in, clients would come in and say, oh, well, I need to plug this in here. They'd unplug something, and then the next client would come in and stuff just wouldn't work the way it should. So we had to look how to expand, and just adding that router, we can now put any input signal to any output signal within this entire facility. So, and what the router does differently is it also passes audio through rather than to a master channel. So what we can do is right now we're running these mics directly into the board and through the USB interface into vMix. These cameras are running into a patch panel within the studio here, which goes right into the router and then routes into vMix. We could also route these cameras into the ATEM. We could route it directly into the Tascam streaming device, whatever we need.
Throw up the screen share so people could see what this router looks like a little bit. So here's the so this one is like, it's 4300. It's a little bit older. Blackmagic just came out with a whole bunch of new routers that a lot of them they're
all IP based now, and that's definitely a future discussion.
That's
where everything's going.
We have opinions on that, sure. But you see, it's just look. It's a bunch of plugs on the back, and but on the front, this all computer controlled, so we can send anything to anywhere. And look, okay. So you saw in the video, we have a TV that is in the studio, and we used to have a problem. We have an Apple TV in the control room. So we want to we want to watch a show. A client wants to watch the Oscars feed while they were doing a live stream about the Oscars. That now, so we put an Apple TV in here and stream it out. Great. But what if they want it on that TV? Well, now you got to unplug the Apple TV. You got to put it on the other TV, and then it becomes this whole thing. So now you don't have to do that anymore. Now it's just send it to this. Yeah.
And I mean, we still got to program a nice stream deck for a lot of our presets. So all we got to do is just hit a button and not even have to go into the software.
I mean, the video router honestly just made life so much easier. So
but it's the routing in general. Like when we reset the audio board, and just wired again, everything going into it, everything going out, and really taking the time to program it. Being able to now split. You mentioned IFVs earlier. Being able to split. I only want
Earpieces for those the talent to listen to. Yeah.
So like we're able to split it. So if we only want the director talking to the host rather than the talent as well, but the talent still needs to hear remote guests, whatever it could be, we're able to set whatever goes to their ear specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. Like, just, we're always trying to be different for everybody, but at the same time, we're a studio. Like, so we can't be everything to everybody, but a lot of times the host needs to hear the the producer, but they don't want the guest to hear that.
Yeah,
like the guest needs to hear the sound bites that are playing, and it just becomes audio is like crazy. Audio is something that I think it's always overlooked. Do you agree? Like,
I think so, because you think it's a couple of mics and a little bit of playback. You don't really realize what goes into it.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, like there's the people that specialize in it. They know how to do everything, how to EQ everything, how to do it. Like, I know enough to get myself in trouble. I know how to use EQ. I know how to do all the routing. But the question would be, if we bring in an A1 to run that board, did we actually
an audio technician who's basically like the senior level audio tech?
Did we set it up the way that they would run the board for a production?
Yeah.
Or did we set it up from that engineering perspective? And we ran into that when with the client out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Who we're hoping to actually get on one of these podcasts to discuss, where we built a probably close to $1 million studio for them. And we set everything up. We wired everything. Everything was working as expected. But we made sure to bring in one of their audio ops that they use all the time to do it. And he completely redid the board because it wasn't the way that they would operate. It works, but I think, again, that's where like these operators are so skilled in what they do.
Our board is a Behringer X32 Compact. Is that right?
I believe it. Yeah.
So I'll pull that up, Sarah, in a sec.
So it's an older board, but it's one of those workhorses that really it has everything that you would need in a studio like this.
And what are the key things here about this one? Let me try to find that on Behringer's website. What are the key things about this board?
What was really nice about it is it has a USB interface built in. It uses a Midas preamps. Midas is kind of the higher level, let's say, of Behringer, their kind of premium brand. But having the USB interface, we can hook that in directly to vMix. We can get all the channels in and out. I think we can do 32 different ones. I think we have it set up for 16 now. All these ins and outs, and create different audio buses. Once that stuff gets into the board, it meshes with the hardwired stuff, where we can then route it right into our IFB system. So we can have bus A or bus B out of vMix going into your ear, where I hear bus C, where I'm only hearing video playback or certain things. So we're able to really isolate all those different things.
I mean, that's the craziest thing, was when we have you never know where you're going to need to send audio.
No, but even the video stuff, you're going to get people that come in and to say, you have this whole thing planned out. You spend days, weeks, whatever it could be, planning this show out. And you get their CEO that walks in, I don't like the light there. I don't like this little 30-inch TV, put a 60-inch.
Or like maybe we had planned on rolling video out of a TV screen offset for them to hear a soundbite during a live stream. And then that person says, I can't hear that speaker well. I want to hear it in my ear.
And then you get the feedback when they're doing that, certain things if we crank it up. But I mean, it really comes down to the overall production.
Yeah.
When people have the budgets and we can get giant crews in here. I mean, we've had 12, 13 crew members on some of the large shoots in a small space, and we've done it with one or two.
This space is about 40 feet by 20, maybe?
Yeah, about 600-ish. Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to, our biggest thing is that we're always trying to reverse engineer budgets too, and I think like some people come in, we We have some people come in there like they just like money's not an issue, of course, which is the best problem ever. But then we also have people who are like, just yesterday, Dave was talking to somebody, and they're like, "I just got to tell you, we don't have a big budget."
Yeah.
Right. And so let's figure out how to make it work.
But that's how you get. That's when we have to get creative. I mean, this client is coming in. They're looking to do a pitch reel to put on Kickstarter or one of those platforms to hopefully get funding. And I mean, what we're working out is a deal where they can come use the space, but if they get the money to do the pilot and it actually this Kickstarter campaign works, then we're going to be their studio to shoot the pilot in, and then that turns into a much larger production.
We had originally most of our work is outside the studio, so I don't know what percentage, but I would say probably like 70. Would you say?
It's hard to these days.
I know,
These days we're doing so many
never
live
know.
streams and these hybrids, and
But most of our work is outside the studio. So the studio is great. We love it. It's our home base. It's where we hang out. It's where we store all of our equipment, and
a good bar.
it's a great bar. And the issue that we also found up until like a week ago was that we would set up cameras in here for a studio shoot, and then we need to break them down, pack them up, because then they would need to go on the road for a field shoot. And we were setting up and breaking down, and things get lost, and then they go. But, obviously we have days where we have things in the field, things in the studio at the same time. We finally decided to commit to setting up the studio cameras. And I mean, just in a week, I showed you the cameras already. They're nothing crazy. They're so tiny, these Blackmagic Micro Studio cameras.
Yeah.
But first of all, what's your take on these cameras?
I mean, we had to get the video assist, which is basically an external recorder and monitor.
Yeah.
The biggest negative about the Blackmagics, we'll start on that, is
You can pop it up, Tara.
their studio cameras don't record internally. You got to hook drives up to them to record.
Mm-hmm.
And the formats lack.
Yeah.
So you can only do the Blackmagic RAW or a couple of codecs.
Yeah, that
which
kind of sucks.
For our editors, it's not practical.
Yeah.
So the smaller cameras, and we wound up hooking one up to the Studio Pro as well. We put on these video assists so we can select the ProRes or H.264, whatever codec the client is requesting for the record. We can record right to that, but that also gives the small cameras some monitors. So that was kind of like a nice easy fix. And I mean, for the most part, a lot of these cameras we don't do a ton of movement on, but if we ever had to put a nice head on a slider or something like that, that's the small camera. The fact that they're the power lenses on them, so we can control those right through the ATEM and the zoom and the focus.
And the studio camera here, Tara, you could pull this one up. The studio camera is a little bit bigger. This one has like a built-in screen. And did we lose my? Oh, there we go. It's got a built-in screen. It's got more outputs. We have HDMI, SDI. Why do we like SDI? Because it runs better.
It's a stronger signal, longer distances.
Cables just pop out of the port.
Yeah, they lock in. It's just a HDMI in my mind is still that consumer format. And I mean, we got to work with it. I mean, we probably have like 600 converter boxes for.
Yeah, we have so many. How do you think? I mean, I would say what hesitation that I had, and I think we both had for a while, is the optics. I think maybe kind of pun intended a little bit, but the clients want to see a big, expensive camera when they come in.
Yeah.
But these like micro studio cameras are so small.
Well, I think that's the studio camera here. I mean, that looks
nice.
It looks nice. They have these monitors coming off of them, and I mean, you look at this picture. I mean,
I know
what these
crazy,
cameras cost these days. I mean,
and the depth of field that you get on these little lenses, and it's crazy. We always joke. I should show in a minute, like the tiny lens that we have on.
Yeah, the big camera with the
LiveU,
tiny little pancake lens on the beefy camera.
Here's what I'm talking about. It's
almost there. I still see some bars popping up.
Here, there's this big old camera and this tiny lens. It's kind of crazy. but they are great. These great little cameras. Talked about our routing system. Tara, hopefully I didn't mess up. Let's talk about comms, because that was like, and we did talk briefly because it's part of audio, but comms, I mean, we talked about IFB, but what is comms? Comms is how we communicate generally, like internally.
Yeah.
Right. And so a director talking to a camera person, a producer talking to the director, things like that. We have these great Hollyland, you know, by the way, what's your take on Hollyland? Everybody's got opinions, and
I actually like some of their products.
yeah,
Like they came into the market as this like cheap alternative to everything. But I mean, we've been doing a lot of those field things where people just need to, they're literally shooting on their phone like you just were with the that. And to be able to give them an earpiece and a clip-on mic and to be able to go in 15 seconds on their own, it's kind of impressive. And the quality, I mean, I'm sure our audio people would, I'm not going to call them by name, but I'm sure a couple of our audio people would disagree with me on that.
Yeah.
But and I think that this could be a whole episode that we do talking about like the right tools.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned before that like we weren't looking to build the broadcast level studio,
Right.
but all this gear we could do a broadcast level production. It's really just comes down to like the cameras and a couple other things. But it's like but you're building with like that backbone is there, but everything has its job. I mean these little mics, these consumer prosumer level stuff. Like,
go ahead and throw up the comm system picture, Tara, to show.
We don't need that $30,000, $40,000 system.
Yeah.
These wireless headsets, they don't have the belt packs. They literally just have the built-in wireless. You can walk all over the floor and still be connected.
And like these, I mean, this particular one is just a few headsets, like $600. But by the way, I mean, I'm sure it's no surprise, but we are not paid by anybody to talk about this stuff.
If you want to pay us and send us some gear, you can sponsor us.
But like I think our set was, a few grand, maybe back in the day at least. But it's like, I think it had 8 or 9 headsets plus this bass unit, and it's great because it also has USB interface, so you can plug it into a computer and then bring in somebody over Zoom. So like, producers don't want to deal with tech. If everybody's familiar with Zoom, then it works. But
even that, with all our guests and everything too, like this is all now wired through our board.
And so, how did we do that? Because that was actually kind of like
we thought we were just going to plug in, and that wasn't the case. We had to get a specialized cable that Hollyland makes.
What is 4-wire? What is 2-wire? Like, what is all this stuff?
It's just the sends and returns and different.
So there's different shapes of plugs. There's RJ45. There's XLR, and in those types of plugs, there are 4-wire and 2-wire.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then there's a 5-pin like for DMX and other stuff and power.
So a lot of comm systems use. I mean, I learned this just like 2 weeks ago, really. So that's why I'm asking. But like, it seems like 4-wire and 2-wire, which this system is compatible with both, is a common way for intercom systems to connect to other.
Yeah,
systems.
but to be able to, so you usually have that. You usually get the extra pin for. So like an XLR, which is typically 3-pin.
Mm-hmm.
You have your ground lead and the 3 pins on it in the return, and then you have
an XLR stands for ground left and right.
Or good question.
Sounds like it doesn't.
Tara, can you look that one up for us so we don't look like idiots for the geeks?
I'll look it up. But we were able to use. There's basically a 4-wire adapter that is sold by Hollyland. It's a Ethernet type jack, right?
Yeah, it goes from the RJ45 to break out into kind of the XLR. So we're able to run that in and out of the board. And now because it's hooked up, we're able to route anything that we push into that. We can do that comm system into the IFB. We can do it just to one and kind of bring anybody into it. And we're looking to kind of integrate the cloud IFB system as well, which
what do you like? You like SpaceComms?
I mean, Unity is kind of like the standard, but SpaceComms. I know Chris Russo, if you're listening, which you'll probably be in one of our episodes. He knows the developer on that and kind of sold us on that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So but he's kind of the one who kind of sold us on this, and it is just a simple, very easy setup. I'm interested to try the Zoom integration that just came out with it. They have the iOS app, but just from an admin standpoint,
Go ahead and pop up the SpaceComms website so people can see what I'm talking
we can just route within that any person to talk to any other person, but we can also then tie it into our system, so we can use it as a one-way IFB into Zoom.
Yeah.
So that's really where I think this is going to come in huge for us. If you got to count somebody in or tell them they're going to be up in 5 seconds, whatever it's going to be, we can pump a director mic into Zoom, and they'll only get that through an IFB. It won't go to everybody.
Yeah, and we haven't tested that out. I'm excited to test that out. Yeah, to see if it actually will break out, like separate the audio within Zoom. I don't know if it's as effective as it says, but it'd be really cool. But yeah, SpaceComms is
It's been great. I mean, we used it for a bunch of projects.
Did we use Unity for anything recently? Like maybe in the last year or two?
Don't think we've used it in about 3-4 years.
I mean, I remember a long time ago, before some of this stuff came out, pre-COVID, we were doing, we did something and we needed a lot of people on comms, and we ended up using Discord. We just created a Discord audience. It was not.
No,
But it wasn't designed for that job.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, that's the whole thing. You got to find the right tool to get the job done right. I mean, and that's kind of where we're at now with the studio. We put in all these tools. And that being said, it's easy enough for somebody to, if they want the cinema camera rather than one of these Blackmagic cameras, it's run.
Right.
You change out a cable and you can run right into the control room and nothing changes. The workflow's there, the infrastructure's there, and I mean we're kind of really versatile now with like any client need is an easy adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's probably a good place to wrap things up. That
You're not listening to me talk.
I mean, I could go on. Honestly, I legit could go on for another hour about this stuff, but
I don't think our listeners will.
I don't think so. But I hope that this was a valuable conversation. Maybe you learned something. I think what I'd like to ask of anybody that's listening is if you have topics that you're interested in learning more about, ask us. Shoot us an email, info@sorrentinomedia.com. It'll be in the show notes.
Also, if you're an expert in some area, you want to just talk nerd with us.
Yeah.
And
come on.
Come on. If you have a product that you think we would like and you want to kind of show it off and tell us how you think we could put it to use, come on, see what other people think, and kind of just do. This is really an open discussion. We want people. We're going to be having hopefully some of our vendors come on, and I know we were talking about we want to have a larger conversation about really good relationships we've built with vendors that we've actually never bought anything from.
Yeah.
Like they're there, they answer the questions, but just the way that you're treated by real people versus being sold on something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we was just saying this morning or maybe yesterday, I forget, like how much money we've spent at B&H alone. You know, it's crazy.
It's
Not on our behalf, right? But for our clients, you know, like Dave said, we built for one client a studio that was just under $1 million, and that's just one client, one build. And you know, over the course of putting all of these studios together for all these different clients, plus our own, and then all these field productions, we've accumulated a lot of knowledge. So we want to be able to share it with the production world. We want to hear and learn from you in the production world, and not gatekeep information, I think is important.
No,
Also,
I mean,
just freaking love talking about
there's
this
no. I mean, this industry is all about connections.
stuff. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we're in the relationship business,
it
right?
really
We
is.
always say that.
So, I mean, you can come to us, you learn some stuff, and if you can go out and do it, do it. But I mean, we've found that a lot of people will learn things and they try and go out on their own and then realize you need people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to help people and kind of get you to the next level, get your content out, and make it look good.
So that's it. Thanks for listening, watching. as you know, we are streaming on YouTube and on social platforms. We're also available, as you hopefully are hearing us, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, all those platforms. We could do the same for you. Ours is just designed to be a little bit less polished, but we can do anything, whether it's live streaming, podcasting, studio production, field production, animation, graphics design. We're here for you. We'd love to connect with you. And if you want to share information, you have information that you want to share with us, or if you're interested in the project, give us a ring. We love to talk shop. So Mike Sorrentino, Dave Shaw,
Give us some,
Sorrentino Media.
Give us some beer, whiskey, whatever recommendations. and I
We'll
will
work
try those out there.
for 6-packs. We'll see you next time on the Production Geeks.